First, we will see a mine that is piled up in an open area. This mine is very bad if Ukrainian armored vehicles pass over it. But look at the area near the mine. A Ukrainian drone detected troop activity in the open area. A Russian soldier was walking slowly, unaware that there was a surveillance drone above him, and the drone then approached him. And the drone seemed unforgiving. I'll show you why the mine must be cleared. When a tank hits an anti-tank mine, the explosion usually doesn't destroy the entire vehicle, but it's powerful enough to break tracks, damage wheels, or disable the drivetrain. As a result, the tank immediately comes to a halt and becomes a static target. Even if the crew survives, the immobilized vehicle makes the entire unit lose maneuverability and is vulnerable to further attacks. That's why mines remain the most effective threat to heavy armored vehicles. Therefore, the mine stack must be cleared immediately to allow the Ukrainian armored vehicles to move smoothly. This is where the role of drone units becomes crucial. They not only detect threats, but also ensure the area can be neutralized remotely, without endangering ground teams. Once the mines are destroyed, a safe corridor is immediately opened, allowing infantry vehicles, ammunition carriers, and evacuation vehicles to move more freely. Small operations like this, which sometimes appear as just a single explosion from the air, actually have a huge impact. They determine whether troops in that sector can continue to advance, survive, or become trapped in the enemy's minefield. Besides hampering vehicle movement, mines also have a long-term effect on the dynamics of battle. Once a sector is identified as being infested with mines, any unit moving in that area must slow down, change routes, or wait for the mine clearance team to arrive. All of this can cause the momentum of an operation to be lost. When the route is changed, the drones usually immediately approach the tank convoy, and the drone operators are often unforgiving of the convoy. Pokrovsk, Donetsk Oblast. In one of the most dynamic battle sectors around Pokrovsk, an air unit from a Ukrainian battalion once again demonstrated how the nature of modern warfare is changing day by day. A lightweight FPV drone, modified with a grenade launcher, was filmed conducting a routine mission, flying low over vegetation and debris toward an area suspected of enemy movement. FPV drone transformed into field operator. In recent months, FPV drones in the Pokrovsk sector have become more than just eyes in the air. Now, many units are using a new configuration: lightweight, high-explosive defensive grenades that can be dropped with precision directly on enemy positions. Shortly after the minefield was cleared, the following footage shows a Russian tank moving slowly in a sector near Pokrovsk. The vehicle advances cautiously, as if trying to find an opening to press into the Ukrainian position. The tank pauses, aims its gun barrel, and opens fire on the Ukrainian defenses. After firing that shot, the Russian tank immediately withdrew, slowly retreating to avoid a possible response from Ukrainian forces. This maneuver is often used by tanks, simply testing enemy positions, firing once, then moving on before re-establishing their position. In this kind of terrain, every second counts. When a single enemy armored vehicle approaches, the entire Ukrainian defense system, from drones to forward observers to combat vehicles, works in unison to read the pattern and determine its next move. The Russian tank's withdrawal indicates that the sector remains under Ukrainian control. But the tank's movements were monitored from the start. Ukrainian reconnaissance units, both aerial and ground, had been locking onto the vehicle's movements since it was first spotted entering the Pokrovsk sector. From high altitudes, reconnaissance drones mapped the tank's path, while forward observers in trenches and defense posts recorded every change in position. This kind of coordination enabled Ukrainian forces to read the enemy vehicle's intentions and maneuver patterns long before the threat actually approached. As soon as the Russian tank opened fire and began to withdraw, data from the drones and ground positions was immediately combined to ensure the tank could not re-enter its firing position. With this layered surveillance, Ukrainian forces were able to control the engagement distance, prevent reapproach attempts, and prevent the tank from exerting further pressure on the forward defense line. This is the essence of modern defense in Pokrovsk. Every threat is not only spotted, but also tracked, analyzed, and neutralized before it has a chance to develop into a serious threat. Up to this point, operations around the Pokrovsk area have demonstrated how interdependent every element of the battlefield is. It all began with a crucial discovery: a pile of anti-tank mines detected by a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone. These mines not only pose a threat to armored vehicles, but can also disrupt the entire maneuver plan in that sector. Therefore, the route must be cleared as quickly as possible to avoid hindering ground troop movements. Once the area was neutralized, Ukrainian armored vehicles began to move more freely. However, the situation on the front line is never static. At almost the same moment, a Russian tank was spotted entering the Pokrovsk sector. The tank moved slowly, observing every angle of the terrain, then stopped and opened fire on the Ukrainian defenses before attempting to withdraw. However, the tank's movements never went unnoticed. Ukrainian reconnaissance units, both from the air using drones and from the ground via forward observers, had been following its movements from the beginning. Every change of direction, every pause, and every shot was recorded and reported. This is the layered coordination that allows Ukraine to control the tempo of the battle in the sector. This sequence of events illustrates a consistent pattern. Superiority is determined not only by who fires first, but by who first sees, analyzes, and responds to the threat. Drones locate mines. Ground troops clear routes. Drones track enemy tanks. Ukrainian armored units intercept and prevent reapproach. All of this demonstrates that the modern battlefield is a combination of rapid information and precise action. And most importantly, all this reconnaissance is only just entering its next phase, because after the sector is cleared and the initial threat is contained, Ukrainian air and ground operations still have to contend with small enemy movements, fast vehicles, and constantly changing tactical maneuvers in Pokrovsk. After Ukrainian units confirmed the forward sector was secure, discussions moved to the next phase, a drone operation targeting a logistics building in the same area. For the past few days, the structure had been under constant surveillance by Ukrainian reconnaissance teams. From the movement patterns recorded from vehicles entering at night to traces of activity around the building, there was a strong suspicion that the location was being used as a storage point for Russian heavy equipment. Several times, thermal drones also detected elevated temperatures inside the building, indicating that motorized vehicles or large equipment had been inside. While there was no direct visual confirmation of the number of vehicles, the consistency of the movement patterns suggested that the building was more than just a warehouse. For troops on the front lines, the presence of such a facility could be a significant source of pressure, as it would allow the enemy to restock supplies, conduct emergency repairs, or hide armored vehicles before pushing back into the line of fire. To prevent Russian combat vehicles from approaching again and resuming their pressure in the Pokrovsk sector, Ukraine decided to conduct precision drone strikes on the property, which had been identified as a logistics support center. These strikes were designed not only to damage the building, but also to disable its functionality, preventing the enemy from using it as a storage location, vehicle stop, or supply consolidation point. When the drone struck the target, the impact was immediate. The structure was no longer suitable for use as a military hub. This not only cut off potential supply routes in the area, but also forced Russian units on the front lines to lose one of the support points that had been helping them survive. With the loss of this facility, the enemy's logistics flow in the Pokrovsk sector was significantly weakened, and the potential movement of heavy vehicles, including Russian tanks that had previously been detected moving along this route, was drastically reduced. These precision strikes helped Ukraine maintain a safe distance between its front lines and Russian armored penetration attempts.